Minecraft villagers might be the least understood thing in the entire game, but they don't have to be. By digging through Minecraft's source code, I've demystified every action that villagers can take, from the simple to the seemingly nonsensical. By understanding the minds of villagers, you can get them to do all kinds of things, from worldwide wireless redstone to full-on mind control. In this video, you're going to learn how to reduce villager AI down into simple steps that you can use to predict, manipulate, and intentionally exploit to make them do whatever you want them to. Let's start by looking at how villagers see the world. Just like you and I, before villagers do anything, they need to gather information about the world around them. They do this using sensors. Villagers possess 9 sensors that run on a 20-tick cadence by default. These sensors check a radius around the villager for specific things that it wants to know. When a sensor detects what it's looking for, it stores it into the villager's memory. This means the villager can see and remember the nearest living entity, item, iron golem, player, and bed, and even remembers the last entity that heard it. It also stores an array of all nearby hostels, villager babies, and secondary points of interest, which we'll talk about later. Now here's where things get pretty cool. Once a villager has memories to work with, it has to decide what to do with them. To do that, it doesn't use one giant list of rules. Instead, its brain is split into activity packages like work, meet, rest, idle, panic, and so on. Each activity has its own set of behaviors ranked by priority. Every tick, the villager looks at the time of day and the memories it currently holds. It picks one to run and then fires the behaviors in that package from highest priority to lowest priority. This is the part where things get fun. Once you understand how these activities and behaviors are selected, you can start steering villagers into doing exactly what you want. And honestly, breaking down systems like this is one of my favorite things about being a developer. If you're the kind of person who enjoys understanding how things actually work under the hood, whether it's Minecraft AI or real backend systems, then the sponsor of today's video, BootDev, is something you'll probably love. I've been really impressed with how BootDev teaches backend development. All of their content is free to read and watch, and a paid membership unlocks the interactive stuff, which includes hands-on coding exercises, AI assistance when you're stuck, progress tracking, and even game mechanics that make learning feel like leveling up an RPG character. What I personally love about BootDev as someone who works as a full-stack developer is that you actually build things. There are real projects along the learning path, including a final capstone project that you can put straight onto your resume, which is exactly what recruiters care about. And my favorite detail, BootDev punishes you for submitting bad code. It simulates pushing broken code to production, which is hilarious, but also teaches you good coding habits in a way that sticks. BootDev's courses teach you Python, Go, TypeScript, SQL, and even other things you'll need to work as a backend developer like Docker, Git, and even how to get a programming job. If you want to learn backend development properly, go to boot.dev and use my code REDLOGIC to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan. Huge thanks to BootDev for sponsoring this video. To effectively take full control over villagers, let's first take a look at the core package. This package has no condition to run, meaning its behaviors are running at all times. It includes behaviors like opening doors, triggering panic, swimming, and other baseline actions. However, the one I want to focus on, because of how exploitable it is acquire point of interest. Acquire POI searches a 48-block cubic radius around the villager for any valid points of interest. This includes bells, beds, and, if the villager doesn't already have a job site, all workstations. Once it fetches this list of all nearby points of interest, it removes all but the nearest 5 from the search. Next, it determines if a path can be made to any of these 5 points, and if so, acquires the closest one it can reach. Once a villager acquires a point of interest, it reserves a slot in that block. Workstations and beds only have 1 slot, meaning only one villager can acquire them. However, bells have 32 total slots. If a POI is out of slots, it is excluded from the initial search by the villager. It is worth mentioning that the moment the villager acquires the point of interest, its slot is given away. This means that the villager doesn't need to actually reach its point of interest to stop other villagers from acquiring it. You can actually abuse this mechanic with a setup like this to create a new form of wireless redstone. The villager in the minecart has a path to the composter, which allows it to acquire it. This prevents the second villager from doing the same. Since the first villager is too far away to directly interact with the composter, the bone meal instead stays untouched. We can send this first villager away to anywhere in the world and it will still remember its point of interest. Next, when we want to activate our system, we can simply kill the villager to release his slot in the composter. This allows the other villager to acquire it, which then removes the bone meal, causing a block update. We can hook this system up to anything, including an ender pearl stasis chamber like in this example. If we pick this villager up with a happy ghast, we can fly anywhere in the world, and then when we're ready to return home, we can kill the villager to activate our stasis chamber. I think my favorite application of this is in creating a bounty hunter minigame where you have to kill the right villager to complete the minigame and escape. Another interesting note about the core package is the swim behavior. Every tick, the villager has an 80% chance to run its swim logic while it's in water. I was curious why it was 80% instead of 100%, so I changed the value in the code, and this is what it looks like. Now onto the work package. This activity runs between 8 AM and 3 PM as long as the villager has a claimed workstation. During this time, the villager will walk to its job site, perform its profession-specific tasks, and react to nearby players holding trade items. The work package also manages secondary points of interest. The only one that exists in vanilla Minecraft currently is farmland, which only farmer villagers use. Now, one consequence of how the work package chooses to pathfind to a workstation is that it works slightly differently from the acquire POI behavior that determines if a path is actually available. Due to this discrepancy, we can create a setup like this, where acquire POI sees a path, but the villager's navigation refuses to pathfind all the way to the target. The actual details on how this happens aren't particularly important, but it has to do with how the villager chooses to pathfind near the workstation if the block above the workstation is unwalkable. This villager will stay here quite literally forever, being completely unwilling to move as its core package behaviors fight its work behaviors. I think my favorite use for this is in builds, where you can use villagers as props and actors, like with this TV, or with this campfire. Next is the meat package. This activity runs from 3 PM to 5 PM if the villager has a bell saved as a meeting point. When meat is active, the villager will walk towards the bell and then wander around the bell and pick nearby villagers or players to socialize with. The villager also still runs player-facing trade behaviors, as well as dropping Hero of the Village gifts. This package is by far the easiest way to move large amounts of villagers, since up to 32 villagers can be assigned to one bell, and you can always place more bells. The rest package runs from 6 PM to 6 AM and only runs if the villager has a bed assigned. This package has behaviors that allow the villager to pathfind to its bed and sleep once it gets there. The idle package runs from 6 AM to 8 AM and 5 PM to 6 PM only if no other package other than core is currently running. This package includes behaviors like village strolling, idling, villager breeding, and even jumping on beds. Lastly, the panic package runs whenever the hurt by memory or nearest hostile memory contains any hostile entities. This package registers two main behaviors, one for calming down the villager if there is no longer a threat, and another for running away from the threat. One thing that sets the panic package apart from the other activities is that it can also be used to interrupt any other active package. Now that we've discussed every activity package, you probably already have a pretty good idea of how to manipulate villagers to do everything you want them to do, even remote redstone. The last piece of their brain is navigation, which, lucky for you, I already covered in my last video. I want to say a huge thanks to my patrons, Zelfarion, Stephanator, Aaron, Inertia Squared, Dragon Slayer, Melly Chu, and Jewel Rain. You guys are genuinely the best and I love my interactions with you. Once again, a big thanks to Boot Dev for sponsoring this video. You've been awesome to work with.